Hey everybody, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, better known as the one-hand mechanic. If I can do it, you can too. Today we have here a older style Craftsman LT1000. It has a bad transmission drive belt. It popped off and had a couple issues in the past with this thing, having two different drive belts. So we're gonna go ahead and try to put a shorter drive belt on this to hopefully help it. But if you need to know how to take the mower deck off, I also do have a video on that. So I'll put that in the link in the description below. Right now, I'm gonna get the hood off and get this thing up in the air so I can show you how to do this. Okay, so underneath the machine, we have the transmission drive belt right here. Now, everybody says, is there a way you can adjust the transmission drive belt tension? No, there is not. It's a spring that's up here, and it is what it is. As you can tell, I have it back on. It actually came off the customer, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna try a little bit shorter of a belt. We had problems with this guy before. The belt guides are pretty much, they're where they should be. Everything looks like it's running as it should, and nothing's too close. I'm gonna go ahead and take off this drive pulley for the engine because it makes it a lot easier to get the new belt on and off. And then back here, we have this is a manual transmission, so we have to go around the shifter rod here. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna engage the brake, and you'll see that it loosens up the belt tension like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start taking off the belt. Now, with this older version, it's pretty easy to just take off the belt like that. And normally, I mean, this is as far out as they go, so we're trying to figure out why this belt keeps popping off. And it might be because there's two different lengths that it can be, and we're gonna go with the shorter length this year. And I think maybe, that's in good condition. We put a new otter pulley on it last year, and this is the keeper right here to put so you can just go around off of that like that. And it's a little bit loose. Now, to get it off the transmission in the rear, you can take this whole big piece right here can be taken off with this. It's like a 1/2-inch bolt right here. You may or may not have this on your machine. I'm gonna go ahead and just loosen that up just to show you guys. It's just easier to sometimes take things off or loosen up the bracket to make it so much easier to get the belt on and off. And this is real easy to do. So I'm just gonna go ahead and loosen that up. Now over here, this is where it actually goes into a hole in the back of the transmission right here. And it's just a whole bracket here. So if you take off this bolt here, this should just pop up out of its hole, I think. Now, you guys may or may not have this on yours, but all right, so this is that's really in there, huh? All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move it up out of the way so we can get the transmission belt off the back. Sometimes you can spin the transmission drive too, the pulley itself, to get it off, which actually helped me that time. And then also, make sure you don't have too much wobble in your transmission pulley. Yes, they're all gonna have wobble, and this is an older machine, but this pulley is in good condition. So at this point, we do now have to get it past, which is the gear shift lever. And you're basically just gonna go up through, right where it goes through the top. Okay, so here's the gear shift lever here. All I'm doing is going down around the other side and back down again through. All right, so now it's off the gear shift lever. And up here, it just kind of came right out. Now, you can push these around the pulley. This guide, it does have a little flex to it, so you can kind of get that around. Now, you don't have to take this pulley off, but I'm going to. It's a 5/8 socket. And as long as it's not seized, which this one is not, it should slide down, and then it comes right off. Now, if you do take these off, just remember, you have a key inside, and if you look at the shaft right here, this is an indent where they push the metal in to make the key on the inside. It has to line up with the keyway on the shaft right here. All right, so just remember, when you put this back up in there, you have to line them up before it'll slide up, okay? It's not too hard on this one. This one actually came off pretty easily. And as you can see right here, it's hanging on the guide. So we have to take it off the guide right like that. Now, the new one I have right next to me here is going to be a 1/4 inch shorter. And I tell you what, a 1/4 inch, it feels like a lot because I can definitely tell it's shorter. And the only problem with the gear driven models, if you put a shorter belt on, is you have a possibility of when you may have a hard time shifting it from neutral to first when the clutch is in. So if that's the case with this, we're going to go ahead and have to put another belt on for him that's the same size as the other one, but we're going to try a shorter one because he had problems coming off. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to fish this up through right here. We're just going to go ahead and put the belt on the other side of the transmission gear shift knob. Just like that. We're going from here around like this, back down through the transmission area. And then we can fish it back behind the transmission. And because this guide is off, it's actually off the front, it should be pretty easy to put it around. All right, so we're good there. Coming up towards the front. Now this is where it's going to get a little tricky. Now, the reason why I have this off is one, you guys can see all this happening at once. Now remember, we have two different idler pulleys here. One's a V, which actually has a shape like a V in here, and one's a flat side, which is shaped like it's flat. All right, and just remember, V from the V belt goes in the V side of the pulley, and then the flat pulley always has the flat part of the deck running against it. Now that's not 100% on every single one out there, but most of them are. All right, and then, oops, just lost my glove there. Like I said, so we're just gonna go ahead and fish it between there so we have, now remember we do have the clutch in too, but the hard part is gonna be getting the engine pulley on. It seems like it's gonna be, it may be too tight, but let's give it a shot. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the belt down a little bit and put it onto the engine pulley. And then I'm gonna put it up on the shaft. And I just turn the pulley until the keyway finds the keyway in the shaft and it slides up. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and put this bolt in. This is not electric clutch, so we can just go ahead and tighten this up. All right, so everybody is on where it should be and it feels pretty good. We'll see what happens when we start up and run it. And we're gonna go ahead and put the bolt back in this metal guide. And at this point, we're gonna go ahead and release the emergency brake / clutch to see what it looks like. All right, everything is around where it should. Tension is definitely really good, being that it's a little bit shorter. And just wanna make sure nothing's rubbing. That's close, but it's not rubbing, so we're gonna be good there. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down on the ground. Okay, I have it down on the ground. Now, the main thing with this is, when I start it up, being that we have a little bit shorter of a belt on there, I wanna make sure that when you push the clutch in, while the engine's running, you can shift it from gear to gear. Sometimes you need to run them around the yard a little bit to stretch them just a tick, just to make it a little bit better, because we definitely shortened up the belt. But let's just see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna go from neutral to second, and then stop, and then, okay, so it is a little bit hard. It's not too bad though. That's reverse, there's fourth. Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to play with it a little bit. I think it's gonna be fine. As long as you can shift, and I can shift. Yeah, I think once that wears in, it'll be fine. Once that wears in, it should be good. And I was able to shift it. It was a little sticky in the first beginning there a little bit, and this is a gear shift transmission. And so if you do come across when you push that clutch in and you can't shift, try lifting up the clutch, going forward a little bit. Just try to kind of manipulate that clutch. There is no synchronizer gears on these transmissions, but by pushing the clutch in, you're releasing the tension on the transmission pulley by just disengaging the belt. So that's pretty much it for how to install a transmission drive belt on an LT1000. If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, tell your friends about my channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.